Right. I wanted to do a stream because I wanted to go through some of the things that I've been doing with generative AI to make new kinds of music, because they're kind of interesting and cool, and because I wanted to do something positive about AI, because I constantly see people posting memes and their opinions about how AI is terrible and is going to destroy everything. And I mean, I sort of hope it does, because probably we want to destroy most things, but also shut up, no it isn't. But also, even more than that, I see this ridiculous point continually being made that, like, oh, the future's going to be all just like AI. It's going to do all the fun things while we have to do slavery. And you just sort of, it just drives me completely insane, because that is not remotely how it feels to use these tools. These tools are incredible. They like multiply the amount of art you're able to create as an artist just by 10 times immediately. Just something that you can do huge amounts more, because the ideas and the artistic practice comes from you. All these things do is, as tools, they increase the amount of things you're able to do, and what they replace is the boring parts, the draftsmanship and the practice and the gate-kept skill, and all the things that have nothing really to do with art. Art's to do with communication, and AI tools are amazing for increasing one's ability to communicate artistically. Or not. You can disagree with that. I'm quite happy for everyone to be wrong. But what I wanted to do is show some of the things that I've been doing with it, because I think they are quite interesting and cool. And one of the main things I've been doing is using it as a kind of a way of making music by, instead of combing through old records for samples and reassembling them into dance music, you can use AI tools to generate samples from scratch and use AI samples to create music. So what I thought I'd do is, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm going to try and make a song, not a song, I'm going to try and make some music from scratch just using AI tools, Ableton, and then any other synths and stuff that seem appropriate, and try and say some of the things that I'm doing, to see if any of that is interesting and helpful to anyone else who might want to try it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this Huggingface space. Huggingface is a website where it runs demos of AI implementations that people have made, and usually free to use, sometimes with a bit of a wait, but this usually isn't that busy, so we'll try this. What you have here is a text to audio generation model, which uses diffusion you can type in the kind of audio you want to hear, and it makes a kind of, at the moment, fairly half-assed shit attempt to make music like that. The default here is a hammer hitting a wooden surface. That would sound like this. And they've obviously picked that because it's one that does really sound like that. But we can type in anything here and we'll get something. Will we get something good? I don't know. Let's try a frog singing about love. Paul McCartney voice. Yeah, let's try that. That's the kind of prompt. So you give as the way that all these models work is you prompt them, you type in something, you try. The skill is trying to find the form of words that will most likely result in something that you want to listen to. And what we're not using this to do is make songs. We don't want to type in, write me an Oasis song by Oasis, because why would you do that? We have Oasis. What we want to do is we want to create sound that we can use creatively to collaborate with the AI and make sound that's more interesting. So let's see what it does if I do that. Takes a moment. Very brief moment, 4 seconds I think that was, and it plays like this. So that is not a frog singing about love in a Paul McCartney voice. That is something. Not especially useful, but what we can do is in the same way that if you had a bunch of old records, you were looking for like loops and breaks in those old records that you could then use to build into new tracks, like Fatboy Slim does. You can use this tool to make sounds which you can then manipulate later. So let's try something a bit more useful. Let's try a jazzy drum break from a classic funk record, and let's try and make it quite, I don't want it to rush, so try and make it kind of slow, 80 BPM. Again, these are not like specific instructions. You're not telling the AI to do this and then it will do it. It's just going to sort of hear this and go, oh, this is this, and it'll try its best. But that's what we want. This negative prompt area, you can kind of tell it things you don't want. So low quality, average quality, that's good. I'm also going to say white noise and musical tones. Yeah. I'm going to add in aggressive kick as well to that. Let's see what that gives me. We'll just see if it's anything interesting. That's actually pretty great. Yeah, okay, so I download that MP4 and that should go into... Oh, I already did it, so yeah, proving that I've done that already. Okay, so we're then going to Ableton. Obviously, this is your standard. This is the one I use because it's the best for samples and stuff, I think. I'm just used to it and like it lots. It's Ableton Live. And what we're going to do is we're going to find that... don't crash. Yeah, there we go. So that's the little beat that we made in the AI. So it's actually turned out, to be honest, normally they're not as good as that. So I was expecting to have to do more things to it, but let's do it anyway. Let's see how it matches up with a beat. That's setting that to 80 BPM. That a little bit by putting some stuff on it. Okay, that's cool. Let's try... kick, fast attack sample, deep and low. Let's see what happens if we give that. And on this one, I'll make it something shorter. So I've got these more detailed configurations. You can change the seed. That's a good way. That's the kind of random number that it uses to generate as a starting point before it starts work. So you can change that if you want different variations of the same thing. Let's just leave that as it is for now. Duration is what I'm going to change just to 2.5. These things are, you can mess around with them just to change the result to see what you like. But we'll see what that does. We want a kick. Completely useless. So let's try a different seed. Let's try the devil's seed. No, not liking that. Let's take out that and try something like No figures. What do you call it when it's aggressive sub bass? Try that.
I'll be happy after.
Well, I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it's not what I wanted. Different seed. Quite now you see, this is what I mean. Like, it's not, the whole thing's not much use, but if you, I quite like that second little hit here. So I'm going to save that. Good. So what I'm going to use is a kind of drum rack. So this is like a MIDI instrument that you can replace. It's a sampler basically that you put samples into each drum slot, which you can then play with a keyboard or a drum machine or whatever. So into C1 we're going to put that new sound. Goes into C1, and we're going to move this so that it starts where we like, that nice kick that I like right at the start of it. Use a keyboard to play it. Oh, not enough USB controller resources. Calm down. Well, it seems to have plenty. I don't know which USB it's referring to. And we want to kind of maybe fade that out a little bit like that. Yeah, I quite like that. Do you want to transpose it down? No, I don't. That sounds rubbish. Okay, so let's just play a bar of this. Cool. A weird delay on that one. Yeah. Quite interesting. What would you put on next? Some kind of droning. Let's kind of do a, ask for a fantasy synth pad full of stars with retro 80s tones. I don't know why I'm typing that. Anything. I just want anything. I just want anything. I'll know it when I hear it. What's this going to be? That is pretty close to what I asked for, but it's not really what I want. Let's try making that longer. Let's give it a full 10 seconds of that. Let's change the seed to something. 1776, why not? Age of Democratic Revolution. Let's try that. I like that, very similar, but we can do things to that. let's EQ that a lot. And some delay. Again with the reverb. Okay, and then we're going to use a program called Track Spacer to do a kind of sidechain compression thing based on the drums that we use for free. Yeah, like. Right, it needs a bass line. Now I could fake do a bass line with the I did just type in funky bass line, but I don't think it's going to be what I want. That's not going to be interesting to me, so I'm probably going to play it on an actual bass. Right, I love that, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use that for something else one day, so I'm going to save it, but forget about it. Right, let's go back into here. Let's do a new piano track and actually use a bass guitar. That sounds like, isn't it? It's like a... Just improve that bass sound a bit. Just standard music stuff. Can't even be bothered to explain. I would like to add a bit of vocals. I'll turn off the... if I had a bit of some kind of vocal, just making random sounds. oh. Yeah. So we're going to export that file. Just export that sound to it's number, what is it, number 6. So if we export number 6, and we're going to try and do something with it. Okay, so that's me seeing it. So if we go over to here, we go to this runtime is disconnected. That is annoying. This is a Google Colab which does timbre transfer for things, and I'm going to use a model that I've trained already using the yes. I'm going to use a model that I trained using Julia's vocal from Stasis and try and transfer my voice to hers. Annoyingly, because it's disconnected, I have to reinstall a bunch of stuff. I have to do that one, that one, that one, not that one. And then the thing we just made should be here. Yeah, so that is the file we want to use. So we're going to move that to there, take off .wav, and then this is the model file, which contains the essence of Julia. Which is the same as the one I've already used. We'll wait for everything to install. Change the pitch up 12. I'm just kind of wait. What this is a Python script that someone else has written that's running on a Google server, not on my local machine. So it's using a very powerful graphics card somewhere else to do the AI stuff. And we already used this to train. Are we going to get something out of this? Maybe. Oh. Sweet. So let's save that audio. So that should be the same length as that, which means we can loop it. And obviously, my voice is wobbling too much, which is then amplified when it goes through the thing. So let's use auto-tune for some, because we're allowed to use auto-tune to correct AI vocals, right? I mean, that seems reasonable to me. Let's just make it. We want it to be quite robotic because it is a robot. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's try and keep this the level of it fairly straight, fairly constant, so it doesn't be annoying. Treat this like we would any other vocal, because it is a vocal. This is the interesting thing about AI generated synthesized sound, is that they are much more similar to organic sounds than normal synthesized sounds. So we'll just do a standard kind of vocal. Serial compression. And so I always end up putting my reverbs on the tracks themselves because I'm lazy and can't be bothered to set up things, but you shouldn't do that. Okay, and so what I've been using this for is making this album called The Mechanical Child, which is a kind of ritual to welcome the coming of the new gods. And a lot of that has involved doing a voiceover, which is kind of in the style of War of the Worlds, and that's using a voice from ElevenLabs, which lets me do speech synthesis from text. This doesn't do vocals in the same way as voice, but what it does is I've got a trained model that I've called Folk Horror, because it sounds like a folk horror man, but also sounds like War of the Worlds. And they can have that say anything you like. So if we just think of, I mean, this isn't going to be used, this is just for demonstrative purposes, so just think of some kind of text for it to say to make one of these tracks. So it's something, ooh, portentous information was conveyed by the voice of the AI. Oh, listen, ye of little face. I am speaking. Okay, so we'll just run that. I don't want to do too much because I have to pay for this one, and that has a certain quota which is diminishing. But I'm going to use that. I'm going to generate this speech from this voice, which I'll then be able to use. That'll take
Ooh, portentous information was conveyed by the voice of the AI. Oh, listen, ye of little face, for I am speaking. This will sound good, I promise.
Doesn't sound that good because he did a kind of run on and ignored that full stop, but we will use it anyway. What we want to do, I think, is probably kind of some sort of in and out thing just to turn it into slightly more of a track. It's not going to be a proper track, but we could. What does this sound like alone? Okay, so we can use that as an introduction and then bring in the drums, which can just go on for a little bit, and then I don't know, should I play some kind of electric piano? Our composition when we actually play it. Organic sounding samples, and then you end up making music that kind of sounds like rave music from the 90s, but odd and wrong because it's made from things that aren't ever played by humans. Okay, some music. We'll need to go through and have things come in and out more slowly and stuff like that. But
ooh, portentous information was conveyed by the voice of the AI. Oh, listen, ye of little face.
We want to put a gap.
Information was conveyed by the voice of the AI.
Somewhere around there. It's annoying that it's kind of run on the speech, but
AI, oh, listen, ye of little face, for I am speaking. This will sound good, I promise. Promise.
Divide it up a bit more.
Miss.
Okay, then I'm going to put everything else into a group and use track spacer on it again so that you can make out the overdub best, blah, blah, blah. So let's put track spacer, this should be ElevenLabs, that one. Good, okay.
Ooh, Ooh, portentous information was conveyed by the voice of the AI.
Set the high cut and stuff.
Oh, listen, ye of little face, for I am speaking. This will sound good, I promise. Speaking. This will sound good, I promise.
Yeah, it's going out to the massive. I love it. Okay. The point of this was just to demonstrate. This is obviously not something that you would release, but it's pretty fun. And like, what's real in this? It's got a fake speaking voice, a fake singer, a drum break that was generated on the fly, a percussive element that was generated on the fly as well. What's this?
This will sound good, I promise.
Generated drone. And then we just played some organic bass as well. But at the same time, at no point could you type in something to an AI and get it to come up with this. But by using the different tools you can... it's just an interesting new workflow. I just wanted to show it to you. So let's play the whole thing and then I will turn this off. Hey!
Ooh, portentous information was conveyed by the voice of the AI. Oh, listen, ye of little face, for I am speaking. This will sound good, I promise.